Hi guys, just a quick audio check. So for those who are logged in, just please confirm if you're able to hear me. Perfect. Right, so we're going to start the webinar in exactly 4 minutes from now. Okay, just waiting for the others to log in. All right, guys, good evening. We're going to start the session, and the session today is on the concept of Venn diagrams. So what I'm going to do in today's session basically is give you an overview on how you need to approach questions with Venns. And we won't only pertain ourselves to Venn diagrams, there are also different forms of representing data, right? So we look at different ways of representing data, right? One would be obviously with a Venn diagram. The other would be using something called a 2x2 matrix. Okay. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to give you like a rule of thumb to differentiate between questions where you use Venn diagrams and where you use tables. All right. So that's going to be the agenda of this session, right? The session goes for approximately 90 minutes. So just keep yourself free until 9:15. I should wrap up my session by then. A couple of ground rules for the session. Just make sure that, for us to be a little more organized with the session, make sure that any responses or any questions or any queries that you need to ask, please type it in the chat window, right? And I will definitely look at your query and I will respond to it after I give you my explanation of the question. Okay. If you ask me any doubt in between the explanation, then it just spoils the flow of an explanation, right? And if you face any audio or video issues, or if you see any lag which is more than 10 seconds, then quickly ping me in the chat window, or you either quickly log out and log in. I think that should definitely fix the issue, right? So just a small slide about me. I'm more of a math kind of guy, a pass out from MS Ramaya Institute of Technology. I've taken the GMAT, also take a lot of GRE sessions. I think some of you all, I recognize your names from the classroom sessions. So hope to add some perspective to your preparation, all right? And quickly, for those who are new to Crack Verbal, those who are attending our webinars the first time, we are basically an organization founded in 2006. We've catered to almost close to 6,000 students now, across all different countries. So we do handle GMAT, we do handle GRE, we do take face-to-face personal tutoring for students abroad as well as in India. Right, that's why you see people from different countries, coming and enrolling with us. And here are a list of universities whom we've helped who our students have gone and joined in. We've helped them, gain and admit by taking classes and also helping with the application process, right? So before we start, a quick overview on what you can, get from our website. I would definitely recommend you go and check the preview videos of our GRE online course for both Quant and Verbal, because in the Quant course, the preview videos give you a good detailed breakdown of what strategies you can use on problem solving and data sufficiency. You can see the link on the screen, so quickly jot down that link and log in there, and you can have a look at the video. The videos are absolutely free of cost. It's a 3-hour video of some strategies and problem solving and quantitative comparisons. So make sure you use that as an added advantage to your prep. All right. Another thing that you can use is our free ebooks available online. So we do write blogs, we do write ebooks, based on particular topics, some important topics, especially, these ebooks and blogs will make sense for people who are in that last phase of prep, right? Maybe some advanced concepts sometimes being discussed. We also have ebooks and blogs to give you a guide on what course you need to take abroad, whether you need to take the MIS, MIM, or whether you need to take the GRE or the GMAT, right? So any sort of doubts you have, you can definitely use the ebooks and they should definitely answer your questions. We also have a YouTube page where we, have uploaded all strategy videos, and all these videos are open for everybody to view. So make use of that. Especially, we've given very good answer explanations to all the questions in the official guide, right? So anybody want to look at the explanations there, just go on to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and have a look at the videos. And finally, the major attraction of Crack Verbal is our flashcards. We do have physical flashcards which are available to buy on Amazon, and we also have an WordTunes app that you can download from the Play Store. Okay. And finally, the blogs, like I mentioned, make sure you go through the blogs and the ebooks, because I guarantee you they're going to help you in your last phase of prep, especially for people looking at a 165, 166 on both quant and verbal, right? These blogs sometimes deals with advanced concepts, so you can make use of it. All right. So after that marketing bit, I'm coming to what is very, very important here. Okay. And that's your understanding of a Venn diagram, or basically an understanding of how to represent data in a diagrammatical form, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to phase out the sessions into two parts. Okay. The first part is I'm first going to give you my perspective of how I look at a Venn diagram, both a 2-set Venn diagram and a 3-set Venn diagram. I will also tell you how and where to use a tabular way of representation of data, right? And I'll also give you a guideline of how you differentiate between using a Venn and a table, and where the Venn would be more of an advantage and when the table would be more of an advantage, right? And then we'll get into solving a good set of 6 questions. Okay, I've tried to keep the levels of the questions slightly higher, maybe the first or the second, and the second question maybe of level 3 difficulty, but the others would be level 4 and level 5 difficulties. Okay, so we'll apply all these concepts onto those questions there. Okay, so first, kickstarting the explanation of a Venn diagram, and I want all of you all to, quickly jot things down here, because the way I'm going to approach a Venn diagram is not going to be based on a formulaic route of working, but I would still, touch upon the formula, but I definitely recommend that you understand how I'm describing the regions of the Venn diagram, okay, because the formula has certain caveats that you'll have to be a little careful about. Right, so we're going to start with a 2-set Venn diagram, and we'll do 2 things. Okay, I'm going to start off with the 2-set this way. I'm going to say that this circle consists of all the students who've passed math, and this circle consists of all the students who've passed English, right? And I'm going to number the regions that the circles represent. Okay, I'm going to call this region 1, the intersection region 2, this region 3, and I'm going to keep an outer region 4. Now we are going to do 2 things. Okay, we'll do 2 things, one on the left hand side and one on the right hand side. On the left hand side, we will first try to understand what the regions actually mean, and on the right hand side, I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to give you statements, and based on your deconstruction of the statements, you will have to tell me what regions those statements represent. Okay. Now, what does region 1 represent? Very, very simple. The region 1 represents the students who've passed only math, right? Because this 1 is specific to the circle where with only M, I don't need the overlap. So 1 represents the students who've passed only math. Similarly, 3 represents the students who've passed only English, right? Because it's part only of the E circle, not a part of the M circle. 2 is a part of both the math circle and the English circle, right? So 2 represents a student who's passed both math and English, right? And 4, very, very easy, is a person who doesn't belong to the circles at all, right? So it's a person who's passed neither math nor English, or a person who's failed both subjects, right? And obviously 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is going to represent the entire population of that school or that college, right? Now let's do the reverse. Now the reverse is the trickier aspect, because what happens, right? And why am I dealing with this is because this first understanding of the regions will help you solve the Venn diagram. Okay, the understanding Guys, just a quick check again. Are you able to hear me? Perfect. Fine. So I want your interaction here. So my first statement is, how many students have passed math? Or be more specific, what region or regions represent the students who have passed math? Anybody? Think about it, right? Think about it. I want the entire regions of students who have passed math. So think about it in the form of a circle, right? People who have passed math should be the entire M circle. And that entire M circle consists of region 1 plus region 2, right? Perfect. Similarly, the number of students who have passed English would be the entire English circle 2 and 3, right? So I don't need to worry about that again. So starting off with a couple of easy ones, right? Now comes the tricky ones, right? How many students or what region or regions represent the students who've passed at least one subject? Right now, this is the tricky aspect, because what happens, right, when you're trying to get to an answer, you'll need to understand what the statement actually means. So my question is, what region or regions in this Venn diagram represent the students who have passed at least one subject? So try to figure out what the meaning of at least is. Based on that, at least one, try to figure out what region or regions is going to represent this statement, right? Think about it. What is the meaning of at least one subject, guys? At least one subject means people have passed one subject or more, right? So people have passed one subject is 1 and 3, and people have passed more than one subject. In this case, 2 subjects is going to be 2. So at least one subject is going to be 1 plus 2 plus 3. Similarly, if I ask you what region or regions represent the students who have passed at most one subject, think about it, guys. What region or regions here are going to represent the students who have passed at most one subject? Understand the meaning of at most and then give me an answer, please. I want the meaning of at most one first, and then also give me the regions which represent this statement. No, Revati, that's not 1 and 3, right? Think about it, right? Think about it. At most one subject should be people who have passed maximum one or lesser than one, right? It's people who have passed exactly one subject and people who have passed 0 subjects. So people who have passed exactly one subject has to be region 1 and region 3. And people who have passed 0 subjects has to be the outer region 4. You realize, guys, that, see, you need to understand the regions very, very carefully to get to an answer. Normally, people forget the outer region 4 when the question asks you for an at most case. Okay? So at most 1 is maximum 1 or lesser. So 1 and 3 for 1 and 4 for none. All right. Now I'm making it a little more complex. What region or regions represent the students who've passed math or English? Okay, let me do 2 together so that I give you the difference between the 2. My first question is, what region or regions represent the students who've passed math or English? And my second question is, what region or regions represent the students who've passed either math or English? If you feel that for both of these, the answers are going to be the same, you can tell me what the answers are. If you feel it's different, you give me the 2 different answers, please. So first, what region or regions represent the students who've passed math or English? And what region or regions represent students who've passed either math or English? Guys, think about it. What about math or English? See, when you say math or English, right? I want a person who's passed math or who's passed English. So I can take anybody from region 1 because that is a person who's passed math or English. I can also take a person from region 2 because that person has also passed math or English. I can also take a person from region 3 because that person also has passed math or English, right? So math or English basically means the union of the entire circles. But when I say I want a person who's passed either math or English, the meaning of either math or English is out of the two, math and English, he has passed only one. So I need a person who's passed only math and I need a person who's passed only English. I don't need a person who's passed both. So I ignore the overlap. So either math or English would be region 1 plus region 3. Got this? Everybody? It's mandatory you understand these last 4 because they are slightly tricky. And remember, your answers to the question on the Venn diagram will hinge upon your understanding of these statements. I know that most of you all will be able to create the Venn diagram. That's not a concern of mine. But most of you all will struggle to decode what the statement tells you. So I'm trying to focus on what the meaning of the statement is. If you spend some time to understand the statement, you can easily get to an answer and you'll know what values in the Venn diagram you need to add. All right. Okay with these 4 cases, guys? At least one, at most one, or an either and or. All of you all? Okay with this? Any doubts in this? Because I'm going to now move on to a 3-set Venn diagram also here. Or before I go into that, I will obviously give you a question here to show how to solve a 2-set Venn diagram, then go to a 3-set. So I'm going to start off with a very, very simple question. Okay, guys, okay with this? All right. So very, very simple question just to, consolidate whatever you've learned so far. So my question is, in a class of 200 students, 100 students passed math, 70 students passed English, and 50 students passed both math and English. My question is, how many students failed both subjects? I want all of you to take a minute, create the Venn diagram, and give me an answer, please. Guys, remember to create the Venn diagram, you'll have to be a little careful in understanding the regions. To answer the question, you'll have to undecode what the question asks you to find out. Okay? So we'll work on both, but I'm going to give all of you all a minute to try solving this before I go into solving it and giving you how to create a Venn diagram, how to answer the question. Okay, I see almost 11 people logged in here, so I want an answer from everybody, please. No, Revati, the answer is not 30, right? You have to be a little careful in creation of the Venn diagram. That's why I said you should spend more time on understanding the regions. All right. So I see some of you all have given me 80 as the answer, and that's absolutely fine, right? So let's look at how to create the Venn diagram first, right? We have 2 subjects. That's going to be math and English, right? Now what the question tells me is 100 have passed math. Now see, there's a difference between me telling you 100 have passed math and 100 students have passed only math. When I say 100 students have passed math, I put it inside the M circle because that would represent 100 students have passed only math. What the statement tells me is this entire circle has to represent 100 students, right? Remember, there's a difference between only. The region 1 was only math, right? Math was the entire circle 1 plus 2. Remember the previous slide, right? So make sure you don't fall for that trap. Okay, that's the simplest trap that you can fall for when you create the Venn diagram. Understand what data is given to you. 70 students passed English. So this entire circle has to be 70. I can't put 70 inside the English circle. And whenever you create a Venn diagram and you're going to solve, the better thing to do is to always solve the Venn diagram inside out. Inside out means you fill up the overall intersection first and then go backwards from there. And the overall intersection gives me 50, right? Because 50 students have passed both. So I can safely put 50 as the intersection between the two circles. Now, if this entire M circle is 100, there's already 50 in it. This only M should be 50. And if this entire E circle is 70, there's already 50 in it. This has to be 20. So now I've got this region as 50, this region as 50, this region as 20. So totally the number of students in the circles are going to be 50 plus 50, 100. 100 plus 20 is 120. So 120 students are taken care of in the circles. I have a total of 200 students. So I need 80 students who are outside. And the question asks me how many have failed both subjects, right? And this is what I need to answer. I need to take the value of the number of students who are outside the two circles. So the answer here has to be 80, right? So for those who made a mistake, right, it's a very simple one I'm starting off with. Obviously, the questions will be more complex, but just reinforces the understanding of the regions. Always when you create a Venn diagram, start inside out, right? Fill up the intersections first and then go backwards. Okay, with this, so I'm moving on to a 3-set Venn diagram. This becomes a little more complicated now. So 3 circles, math, English, say science. Okay, this circle represents the students who passed math, this circle represents the students who passed English, and this circle represents the students who passed science. Again, the same process. I'm going to number the regions. We look at what the regions actually represent, but more importantly, I'm going to give you statements, and you will have to decode the statements to tell me what regions represent those statements. That's the more important bit. Now, what does region 1 represent? Region 1 is a part of only the M circle, right? So it's a region which represents only math. 3 also very easy. The region which represents only English. People have passed only English. 7 again, only a part of the S circle. So people have passed only science. 5 again, very simple. Since it's the overall intersection, it represents people have passed all 3 subjects. 8 also, very, very simple. So people who have passed none of the 3 subjects, right? Because it's outside the 3 circles. Now you have to be a little careful to understand what regions 2, 4, and 6 are, right? Can anybody tell me, or can all of you all tell me, what does the region 2 represent, please? What does region 2 represent? No, Giant, it's not people who have passed math or English, right? No, people who have passed math and English, Harshika, is not right again. No, it's not M plus E again. You have to be a little careful. No, it's not people who have passed math and English. See, guys, you need to understand the regions very carefully. People who have passed math and English is the entire intersection between M and E. I don't want the entire intersection. I only want region 2. Region 2 is part of the M circle, part of the E circle, but not a part of the S circle. So 2 represents a person who has passed math and English, but not science, right? See, there's a big difference. There's a big difference between you telling me math and English and me telling you math and English, but not science. Math and English means it's the entire intersection of the 2 circles. I am only asking you for region 2. So similarly, what does region 4 represent? All of you all, if you understood this, what does region 4 represent? Think about it in terms of the circle. It's very, very easy to figure it out. Yes. Region 4 represents math and science, but not English. And finally, region 6 will represent English and science, but not math. So be a little careful, right, in understanding what the regions are, because if you don't, then you're going to mess up the entire Venn diagram, right? You shouldn't go wrong at the creation of the Venn diagram itself, because then you'll be shooting yourself in the foot, right? Perfect. So now let's move on to the slightly harder bit, okay? And this is what is going to help you answer the questions. So again, I'm going to give you some statements. Spend some time in understanding what the statements mean, and then give me the region which represent those statements, okay? Region or regions. So first one, very simple. I won't even ask you to write this out. If I ask you how many students have passed math, then I'm asking you for this entire M circle, right? Entire M circle would be 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 5, right? And guys, remember, so one of you all have already made a mistake. Understand the difference between only math and math, please, okay? Only math is 1. Math means the entire M circle. Similarly, English would be 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6. And science would be 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. Right? I'm not writing that because it's easy to understand. Now coming to the second bit. And some of you all have also answered it. How many students have passed math and English? Or what region or regions represent the students who have passed math and English? You also answered it wrongly in the previous case, so be a little careful. Perfect. How many students have passed math and English? So math and English represents the entire intersection between the M circle and the E circle. So that is 2 plus 5, right? Similarly, math and science would be 4 plus 5, and English and science would be 5 plus 6, right? What about this? What region or regions represent the students who have passed at least one subject? What region or regions represent the students who have passed at least one subject? At least one subject, guys. At least one subject means you need to understand the meaning. Don't jump the gun, right? At least one means people have passed one subject or 2 subjects or 3 subjects. So understand the meaning. Don't jump the gun and just tell me this has to be 5, right? No, it's not 1 plus 3 plus 7. I want at least one. At least one means people have passed 1 or 2 or 3. Yes, it's going to be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. Or the easier way to work this out would be to take the total and subtract what you don't need, and what you don't need would be 8. At least one subject means people have passed one subject. That would be 1, 3 and 7. People have also passed 2 subjects. That's 2, 4 and 6. And also people have passed 3 subjects. That would be 5, right? So everything in the 3 circles would give me at least 1. So easier way to work would be to take the total and subtract what you don't need, right? Kiran, all numbers except 8. What about the region or regions which represent the students who have passed at most one subject? Perfect. At most one means people have passed 1 and people have passed 0, right? People have passed one subject would be 1, 3 and 7, and people have passed 0 subjects would be 8, right? Perfect. What about this? People have passed at least 2 subjects. What about people who have passed at least 2 subjects? Understand the meaning, guys, right? Let me understand the meaning. What is the meaning of at least 2? People who have passed 2 or more, right? So people have passed 2 subjects is 2 plus 4 plus 6, but I also need to include 5, right? Because it's 2 or more, right? Perfect. So most of you are getting a hang of this, so great. I'm going to make it a little complex here. How many students, again I'm using the concept of OR, how many students have passed math or English? And how many students have passed either math or English? I want you, all of you all, to give me a difference between the two, and be a little careful in the second case, please. Understand the meaning. Okay, first I want all of you all to type in the chat window, how many students have passed math or English? What would be your answer for that? Guys, how many students have passed math or English? No. Remember, I'm saying math or English, right? So it can be a person who's passed math, it can be a person who's passed English, it can be a person who's passed both. Basically, I'm asking you for the entire union between math and English. So it's going to be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. Math or English means the entire M and E circles. But what about either math or English? Guys, what about either math or English? How many of y'all can give me an answer for that? Perfect. So most of y'all have given me an answer, but let me see whether it's right or not. 1 and 3 is not right. 1, 4, 3, 6 is absolutely fine. Understand the meaning, guys. Okay, this is very, very, very tricky. Okay, when I say either math or English, I need you to give me a region of only M or only E. I need you to give me a person who's passed only math or only English when the two are compared. Basically, I need to cover this entire intersection between math and English, right? Because I can't have a person who's passed both math and English. So cover the entire intersection between M and E. And obviously, I don't need 7 also, right? Because 7 is a person who's passed only science, has no relevance in this entire question. So when I cover the intersection between M and E completely and forget about 7, the numbers that are left out are 1, 3, 4, and 6. So 1, 3, 4, and 6 represents the regions of, or which represents the region where people have passed either math or English, right? See, either math or English means out of the two, they have passed only one. So 1 and 3 is a given, right? But a person who's in region 4 is a person who's passed math and science but not English, right? So it's a person who's passed math but not English in comparison to math. Even if a person is in 6, right? It's a person who's passed English and science but not math. So this person in comparison to math has passed only English. So I know it can also be included in the case of either math or English. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is you don't need the intersection between M and E. So cover the intersection. The other numbers, excluding 7 obviously, will be your either and or in this case. Okay. Okay, but guys, this is a very, very important one. Either math or English, should be very, 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 very careful, especially in a 3 set. Okay with this, guys? Either math or English is 1, 3, 4, and 6. Okay, so again, this understanding of the regions will help you create the Venn diagram, and this understanding of the what the regions represent will help you solve and answer the questions. Okay, so again, let's look at an example, a very simple example to start off with again, before I go into the questions that I have for you, right? So let me quickly write the question down in shorthand. Say we have a total of 500 students. Say 130 students drink coffee. 150 students drink tea. And 180 students drink beer. Say 60 students drink both coffee and tea. 80 students drink both tea and beer. And 70 students drink both coffee and beer. My question to you is, how many students drink none of the 3 drinks if the number of students who drink all 3 drinks is 50? Okay, so what I want all of you all to do is, based on this data, first create the Venn diagram, put in all the data in the Venn diagram, and then see what the question asks you to find out. So I'm going to give you another minute for this, and then we'll have a discussion. So quickly type in your answer in the chat window once you're done. Okay, so I see a couple of answers. So let's work with the creation of the Venn diagram first. So I have three circles, 1, 2, and 3. So we have coffee, we have tea, and we have beer. So 130 students drink coffee, so the entire C circle is 130. 150 students drink tea, so the entire T circle is 150. 180 students drink beer, so the entire B circle is 180. Now, if you've made a mistake, you must have made it at this point. 60 students drink both coffee and tea. For those who put 60 in this region, you're completely wrong because that region represents people who drink coffee and tea but not beer. When I say 60 students drink coffee and tea, I'm asking you to consider that this entire intersection is 60 because that region represents people who drink both coffee and tea. So this entire intersection is 60. Similarly, 80 students drink both tea and beer. So this entire intersection is going to be 80. And 70 students drink both coffee and beer. So this entire intersection is going to be 70. Right? So if you made a mistake, you might have made it at this point. All right? Remember guys, the rule of a Venn diagram is you always start inside out, right? Fill up the overall intersection and then move backwards. So now I have all three to be 50. So I'm putting that as the overall intersection and I'm going backwards from here. So if this is 50 and this entire region is 60, this is going to be 10. If this is 50 and this entire region is 70, this is going to be 20. And if this is 50 and this entire region is 80, this is going to be 30. Now this entire circle C consists of 130 students. There's already 50 plus 20, 70. 70 plus 10 is 80. So this has to be 130 minus 80, which is 50. This entire circle is 150. There's already 50 plus 30. 80 plus 10 is 90. So this has to be 60. If this entire circle is 180, there's already 50 plus 30, 80. 80 plus 20, 100. So this region has to be 80. So you completed putting in the values in the Venn diagram. Now it's all of a matter of understanding what the question actually asks you to find out. The question asks you to find out how many students drink none of the three drinks. So if the question asks you to find none of the three drinks, I need what is outside. So I need to add up all these regions and subtract from the total, which is 500. So 50 plus 10 is 60. 60 plus 60 is 120. 120 plus 20 is 140. 140 plus 50 is 190. 190 plus 30 is 220. And 220 plus 80 is 300. So 300 people are totally in the three circles. I have a total of 500. So I need to have 200 outside the circles. And that's what the question asks you to find out. Okay. So even when you're solving a three-set Venn diagram, you quickly start inside out, right? Put in the values, right, in the overall intersection and go backwards from there. And remember, when you create the Venn diagrams, your understanding of what data is given to you and the regions is key to putting in the numbers correctly. And to solve the Venn diagram, your understanding of what the question asks you is very, very, very important. Okay. So I'm going to change the question slightly here. Right? Let's keep the same Venn diagram, but the question that I'm going to ask you is going to be different. Okay. Suppose this entire Venn diagram held good. Okay. We have all the regions given to us. But I ask you now in the question, how many students drink at most one drink? What would be your answer? For this Venn diagram, if I'd given you the question, how many students drink at most one drink? What would be your answer? So while you're typing in the answer, right, just type in what numbers you added in the Venn diagram. That will be better for you to understand, right? So how many students drink at most one drink? Guys, what is the meaning of at most? Figure that out first. Not 500, Kiran. 500 is the total, no? Perfect. At most one drink is people who drink one exact drink and people who drink none, right? So none would be 200 and people who drink one drink would be 50, 60 and 80, right? So 80 plus 60 is 140, 140 plus 50 is 190, 190 plus 200 gives me 390. Okay with this? So it's actually 50 plus 60 plus 80 right? Because that represents students who drink exactly one drink. And I also have to include people who drink none of the three drinks, right? That's 200. Perfect. Now be a little careful here. How many students drink either coffee or tea? How many students drink either coffee or tea? Understand the meaning, guys. Okay, it's better to tell me what will you add up, all right? Understand the meaning. I gave it to you in the last slide. How many students drink either coffee or tea? Remember, when I say either coffee or tea, you don't need a person who drinks both coffee and tea. So exclude the entire intersection. No, answer is not 50 plus 20. Either coffee or tea basically means people who drink only coffee or only tea, right? So you exclude the entire intersection between coffee and tea. And obviously, you're not going to include beer at all, right? What is left out, that is 50 plus 60 plus 20 plus 30, is going to be the people who drink either coffee or tea, right? That's 50 plus 60, 110. 110 plus 50 is 160. That would be the answer. Got this, guys? Perfect. Great. So I've given you like a basic understanding of what a two-set Venn diagram is and a three-set Venn diagram is. So I'm going on to the questions here, starting off with an easy one and then moving on to a slightly harder one. So the first question is here, guys. I'm going to give you exactly a minute and a half to solve. Please do not type in the answers until I ask you to do so here, okay? So your time starts now. Okay, guys, you can start typing your answers in the chat window. Guys, last 20 seconds. I want all of you all to at least type in an answer in the chat window, okay? It's a straightforward question. I told you, make sure you read the question carefully and more importantly, make sure you understand what the question asks you to find out. Final 10 seconds. I want an answer. All right. So clearly here the question deals with a three-set Venn diagram, right? A survey was conducted to determine the popularity of three foods among students. The data collected from 75 students are summarized as below. So I'm going to draw three circles here and put all the data in those three circles. So we have 48 like pizza. So this is pizza, and this entire circle has to be 48. 45 like hoagies. So this is hoagies. 45 like hoagies. And 58 like tacos. So this is 58. 28 like pizza and hoagies. So pizza and hoagies, remember, is this entire intersection, right? Don't fall for the trap of putting 28 right there. So 28 like pizza and hoagies. So this entire intersection is 28. 37 like hoagies and tacos. So this is 37. And finally, 40 like pizza and tacos. So this entire intersection is 40. So remember, I'm always going to start inside out. So 25 like all three foods. So I'm going to put 25 inside there and work my way backwards. So if this entire thing is 28, this is 25, this is 3. This entire thing is 40, this is 25, this is 15. And if this entire thing is 37, this is 25, this will be 12. Now this entire circle is 48. There's 25 plus 15, 40. 40 plus 3, 43 already inside that circle. So this has to be 5. This entire circle is going to be 45. So 25 plus 12 is 37. 37 plus 3 is 40. This will also be 5. And this entire circle is 58. There's already 25 plus 15, 40. 40 plus 12 is 52. So this is going to be 6. You finish the Venn, right? Now the question says, what is the number of students who like none or only one of the food? So remember, none is what is outside, right? And remember, you should always solve for what is outside also, because they've given me the total number of students, which is 75. So don't overlook the outer region. So this is 5 plus 3, 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 plus 40, 25 plus 15 is 53. 53 plus 12 is 65. 65 plus 6 is 71. So I know that all of these numbers in the circle add to 71. So what is outside is going to be 4. Now the question asks me, what is the number of students who like none or only one of the foods? I want none or only one. So none are people who have passed. Remember, none or only one is at finally at most one. Okay, it's a different way of representing at most one. So people who eat none of the three foods is going to be 4. And only one of the three foods is going to be 5 plus 5 plus 6. That's going to 10 gives you 20. So the answer here has to be delta. Okay with this, guys? Straightforward question. I would classify this maximum as a level 2 question on the GRE. Not too problematic, right? It's just that you'll be a little careful creating the Venn and then careful in adding up the values. Okay? Any doubts on these, guys? Anybody want me to explain again how the numbers came about, or okay with this so that we can move on to the next question? Okay with this, all of you all? No doubts? What about the others? Perfect. So here's your second question. And this is where now I would start bringing in certain alternate strategies to solve any question on Venn diagrams. Okay. So I'm going to give you a good 2 minutes to solve this. Your 2 minutes start now. Okay, guys, you can start typing your answers in the chat window. Another 20 seconds. Please type in your answer. Okay. So I see most of y'all have struggled on this question, right? Because this is a level 4 or level 5 question on the GRE. So we look at two ways. We look at two ways of solving this question. Okay, one would be the conventional way, and the other would be a take back in terms of strategy. Now the question says of the 600 students in a college, 35% chose math. So I have M. 40% chose science, and 50% chose history. So this is 35%. This is 40%. And this is 50%. I'm not going to sit and change all those percentages into numbers. I would prefer to find out what the question asks in terms of a percentage and then change only that region by taking into consideration 600 students, right? So when you're making a Venn diagram with percentages, you know all the regions of the Venn diagram inclusive of the outer region should add up to 100%. Okay, so I'm working with the percentages first. Now, 18% chose exactly two of these subjects. So basically what the question tells me is this region, let me call that X. This region, let me call this Y. And this region, let me call that Z, is given to me as 18%. So I've been given the first equation that X plus Y plus Z is 18%. And note, all the students have chosen at least one of the three subjects. So they're telling me the outer region has to be 0. So I don't need to worry about the outer region at all. Now, the question here asks me to compare students who chose all three subjects. So I need to find out this region A. And I need to compare that with 21. Now, the bigger trap here is for you to say that I have just too many variables to work with. I can't find out A, so the answer has to be delta, cannot be determined. But whenever you work with a Venn diagram, right, and you represent the regions with variables, it makes sense to represent all regions with variables and then try to use algebraic equations to solve. So we have this region to be X, this region overall intersection to be A, and this region to be Z, to be Y, and this region to be Z. So I'm going to do the roundabout procedure first. If this is X, this is A, and this is Y, this is going to be 50 minus X minus A minus Y. This because there's already, this entire circle is 50. There's already X in it. There's already A in it. There's already Y in it. So this region is 50 minus X minus A minus Y. Same way as this entire S circle is 40. There's already X, A, and Z in it. This is going to be 40 minus A minus X minus Z. Right? And the entire H circle is going to be 50 minus Y minus A minus Z. This is 35%. Okay, that represents the entire math section, right? Now I've got all the regions in terms of variables, and I know all of these regions individually are going to add up to 100%. So I'm going to write the equations down here. It's a little tedious, but bear with me. 50 minus x minus a minus y, that's this region, plus this region, that's x, plus this region, that's 40 minus a minus x minus z, plus, remember, I've taken this, I've taken this, I've taken this, plus y, plus a, overall intersection, plus z, plus 50 minus y, minus a, minus z. All of these have to add up to 100%. Now I'm going to simplify. X and x cancels here. Then I can cancel plus z and minus z. I can cancel out a plus a minus a plus y minus y. So what I'm left out with here is 50 plus 40 plus 50, right? It's 40, 50. Sorry, this is 35, right? This is 35. This is not 50. This is 35. So this has to be 35 minus x minus a. So 35 plus 40 plus 50. So 50 plus 40 is 90. 90 plus 35 is 125. So 125 minus a is minus 2a. Minus x minus z and minus y is what I have here. So minus x minus y minus z has to be equal to 100%. So I have 125 minus 2a. If I take minus common, I'm going to get x plus y plus z is equal to 100%. And remember, I already know that x plus y plus z is equal to 18. So 125 minus 2a minus 18 is equal to 100. So I'm going to take the numbers to one side. I'm going to take 2a on the other side. So 125 minus 18 is going to be 107. 107 minus 100 is going to be 7. So 7 is equal to 2a. So a is going to be 3.5. So a here is going to be 3.5%. And now I'm going to change this percentage into a number, right? Because I need to compare the numbers. So this value, students who passed, chosen all three subjects, would be 3.5% of 600, which would cancel out to give you 21. So since the left hand side and the right hand side are equal, the answer here has to be Charlie. So this is a slightly tedious procedure of working, but it gives you your answer. The point I'm making is you don't give up saying that information is not given, right? You work with all the regions first and you try to create an algebraic equation and equate it to 100% and try to see if you can solve with those equations, right? Okay with this, guys? Perfect. Now, what would be the easier way to get to the answer here? And this is a strategy of working, or this is what some people use. It's called the formula aspect. Remember, this formula aspect is only applicable on certain types of questions. That's why I'm not working with it. But it's better to remember this as a strategy of working. See, I'm just going to, think about this entire question in terms of geometry. I have math, I have science, and I have history, right? And remember, I need to find out this overall intersection, and I have the total percentage to be 100%. So think about it, okay? Think about it. If I give you these three intersecting circles like this, and I ask you to find the area of this entire region given to me. To find the area of that entire region, I can take the area of this circle, that's M, add it to the area of this circle, that's S, add it to the area of this circle, that's H. But what I've done by taking the three circles individually is, I've counted this overall intersection 3 times. Once with the M circle, once with the S circle, and once with the H circle. But I can only consider it once because I need the area of that entire region, right? So I'm going to subtract 2 times the overall intersection. 2 times the overall intersection of the 3 because I've considered it thrice. And this region, and this region, I've considered those regions twice. This region I've considered first with math and science. This region I've also considered between math and history. And this region I've also considered with science and history, right? So since I've considered these regions twice, I need to subtract 1 time these regions, right? So I'll keep this as X, this as Y, and this as Z so that you understand better. X plus Y plus Z. So if I understand the question this way, right, the question becomes very simple to solve because what I've got here is this is 35%, this is 40%, and this is 50%. So M plus S plus H is going to be 35 plus 40 plus 50. So I've taken all the 3 circles together, I've added them up. And remember, I've considered the overall intersection 3 times. So I'm going to keep the overall intersection here to be A. So I'm going to subtract 2A out of it because I've included A 3 times. And I'm also going to subtract this region, and this region once. And X plus Y plus Z in the question is given to me as 18%. So 2A minus 18% has to be equal to 100%. Remember, all of these here are percentages, right? So 40 plus 50 is 90, 125 minus 2A minus 18 is equal to 100%. So 2A would be equal to 7%. So A will be equal to 3.5%. 3.5% of 600 is 21. Gives you the answer choice, Charlie. You see what the difference between what we did previously and this procedure of working is I didn't have to go through the entire process of writing down all the equation and cancelling out the variables, right? By understanding this in terms of a geometrical representation of working, I ended up getting the simplified form of the equation that we created in the first case. Got it? So when the take back from this question is, whenever a question asks you for the overall intersection, whenever you have a 3-set Venn diagram, and whenever a question asks you about the overall intersection and gives you information about these 2 intersections, it's always better to think of using the strategy of the areas of the entire figure, right? Take the area of the first circle, take the entire first circle, add it to the second, add it to the third, subtract 2 times the intersection because you considered it thrice, and subtract these intersections because you considered it twice. That would obviously be equal to your total, and that total, remember, in a percentage graph will always be 100%. Okay with this, guys? So that's one take back from this question. Okay, multiple ways of working, but the easier way would be to think about it in terms of area. All right, so here's your third question. Follows the same concept, just a quick question to again reinforce the concept that we just discussed. I'm going to give you a minute and a half for this. Your time starts now. Okay, you can start typing your answers in the chat window. All right, so a couple of you all have given me Charlie, one of you all has given me Alpha. What about the others? It's very similar to what we did previously. So if you're comfortable creating all the regions in terms of variables and then solving, go ahead and do it. If you understood what I told you in terms of area of circles, you can use that, right? So we have 28 students in a senior class participate in at least one of the three clubs. So we have three clubs, and I know that since 28 students participate in at least one of the three clubs, the outer region is going to be 0 for sure. 24 of them are part of the science club. So this is the science club. This entire circle is 24. 16 are in the math club. So this entire circle is M. So this is 16. And 18 are in the history club. So this entire circle is 18. And 21 participate in at least two of the clubs. Now this is a little tricky, right? I mean, it's not as tricky as the previous one, but what is the meaning of at least two? It's a very easy one here, guys. What is the meaning of 21 participate in at least two of the clubs? At least two means two or more, right? So this entire region, right? This entire region. Remember, it's two or more, has to be 21. So let me put this as x plus y plus z plus a, right? So x plus y plus z plus a is equal to 21. Now, how do I proceed from here? For those who have given me Charlie as the answer, how did you proceed from here? Because the question now asks me how many students participate in all three clubs. So tell me, how did you proceed from this question, please? Guys, anybody? Anybody? For those who are giving me C as the answer, what did you do to get to your answer from this point? Remember with this, with the equation that with what we discussed in the previous question, right? We can find out the value of A. I'm going to take this entire circle, which is 24. I'm going to add to this entire circle, which is 16. And I'm going to add to this entire circle, which is 18. Right? Now remember, I've considered the overall intersection 3 times, so I'm going to subtract 2 times the overall intersection. And I've considered these regions 1 time, so I'm going to subtract 1 time x plus y plus z. And this, all of this should add up to 28. So 24 plus 16 is 40. 40, 58. So 58 minus 2a minus x minus y minus z is 28. I can split the 2a as 58 minus a minus x minus y minus z, which is 28. And remember, minus a minus x minus y minus z, if I take the minus common, would be x plus y plus z plus a. If I take the minus common, this becomes plus. So this is going to be 58 minus a minus 21 is equal to 28. So 58 minus 21 is going to be 37. 37 minus A is 28. So A is going to be 37 minus 28. Remember, 37 minus 28 is 9. So we've got A to be 9, right? So if A is 9, I know X plus Y plus Z. If A is 9, I have X plus Y plus Z to be 21 minus 9, which is 12. So now how do I proceed from here, guys? I've got the value for A. I've got the value of X plus Y plus Z. How do I figure out how many students participate in all three of the clubs, right? The question is just direct, right? All three of the clubs means I need the value of A. So the answer here has to be Charlie. Okay with this? So again, a straightforward procedure where you can think about area, isn't it? So at some points, right, it's better to use the formula, but at some points, it's better to stay away from the formula because the formula is not going to help you out in all cases. In cases like this, where you're asked to find out the overall intersection, right, the formula will definitely come in handy. All right? Perfect. Okay, so here's a very, very good question. Okay, so you'll have to think a little carefully, read the question here carefully. Your time starts now. Okay, guys, you can start typing your answers in the chat window. Final 20 seconds. Okay, it seems a tough one. Only one answer. Giving you another 20. Okay. Perfect. So I've got two answers and both B. So one of y'all, either Janka, can you tell me how did you proceed with this question? Because it's a good hard one. It's going to make you think. So how did you proceed with this question? Okay. Okay. Both of y'all use a tabular way of working. Perfect. So now this is the take back from this question, right? This is where you will have to analyze where to use a table and where to use a Venn. See, whenever you have, this is the basic rule of thumb. Whenever you have quantities which are mutually inclusive, that means you can have a relationship between the quantities, then you always go the route of a Venn diagram. But whenever you have quantities which are mutually exclusive, you always go the route of a table. So here what I have is I have exclusive quantities which are graduates and undergraduates, right? Yes. And I also have two other exclusive quantities which are male and female. So as soon as you see a quantity, as soon as you see a question where you have four quantities like this, male and female, and graduates and undergraduates, and all of them are mutually exclusive. See, what I mean by mutually exclusive is you can't have an intersection between the two. See, a male can't be a female, right? A graduate can't be an undergraduate, isn't it? So when you have quantities which are mutually exclusive, you always represent the quantities in the form of a table, right? And this table is what we call a 2 cross 2 matrix. So what you do in a table is you represent two of the quantities as the columns. So I'm going to keep the male and the female as the columns. And I'm going to keep the other two quantities as the rows. So that's the graduates and undergrad and total. Remember, always keep the total column because that's also going to help you to get to an answer. Now let's work with this. Okay, let's go stage by stage. A business school event invite all of its graduate and undergraduate students to attend. Of the students who attended, male graduate students outnumbered male undergraduates by a ratio 7:2. So they're telling me the ratio of male graduates to male undergraduates is 7:2. So I'm going to keep this as 7x and 2x. So this total has to be 9x. Remember, I'm not using the ratio directly. You can either use 7/9, 2/9 if you want to go the fraction route, but I prefer to attach a variable and work with variables. So 7x and 2x. Now the question says female students constitute 70% of the total group. So obviously the male students, if female students constitute 70% of the total group, then the male students have to contribute 30%. So if male is 30%, I know 9x has to be equal to 30%. So 9x is equal to 30 by 100. So if 9x is 30 by 100, if I simplify, what will I get? Remember, 9x will always be 30%, right? And it's going to be 30% of this total, right? So 9x is going to be 30% of the total. So now if I calculate, if this is 30% of the total here is going to be 10 into 3x, which is going to be 30x. So the total is going to be 30x. So if this is 9x, this is 30x. Now this is going to be 21x, right? Now I'm going to the last part of the question. If the undergraduate students make up 1/6 of the group, so 1/6 of 30x is the undergrads, that's going to be 5x. So this undergrad total has to be 5x. If this overall total is 30x and this is 5x, this is going to be 25x. So remember now guys, if this is 2x, this is 5x, this has to be 3x, and this has to add up to 21x. So now this is going to be 18x. So I finished the entire 2 cross 2 matrix in terms of x itself. And the question is asking me, which of the following cannot represent the number of female graduate students at the event? So the question is, which of the following answer choices cannot be a value for 18x? Now remember, if it cannot be a value for 18x, the other way, what the question is actually asking me is this value perfectly divisible by 18 or not? Whatever answer you get, is it perfectly divisible by 18 or not? 18x can definitely be 18. That's absolutely fine. So there's no problem in that. Alpha can be a possibility. I need to hold on to which cannot be a possibility. Beta 27. Can 18x be 27? Definitely not. So that is going to be your pick. 36, 72, and 180 are all multiples of 18. So the answer here has to be beta. So for those of you who got beta, very, 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 very good, analysis of this question, because this I would definitely classify as a good level 4 or level 5 question, because you'll have to work with the statements very, 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 very carefully, understand what hidden pieces of information are there, create the table, and then use your answer choices to figure out which of the answer choices cannot be your answer. All right. So for those of you all who got B as the answer, great job on this. All right. So the take back from this question is this: whenever you see data and you have an urge to represent that data in terms of Venn or tables, you always have to identify where to use Venns and where to use tables. Where do you use a Venn diagram? Whenever you have quantities which are mutually inclusive. Where do you use a table? Whenever you have quantities which are mutually exclusive. So quickly ask yourself a question in your head: are these quantities I'm dealing with mutually exclusive or mutually inclusive? If they're mutually exclusive, use a table. If they're mutually inclusive, you're always going to use a Venn, right? All right. So this is the last question for the day. Since we have dealt with tables, the next question also would deal with tables. So I want all of you all to take a couple of minutes, solve, and give me an answer. Your time starts now. Okay, guys, you can start typing your answers in the chat window. Last 20 seconds, guys. It's a good level 5 question, so you have to read the question carefully. All right. Seems that most of y'all are struggling on this question. The tricky aspect of this question comes in the question stem itself. Okay, you have to break down the question very, very carefully. So for those of y'all who at least gave an attempt at this question and got stuck somewhere, would you use a Venn diagram or a table here? All of y'all, quickly, Venn or a table? Clearly a table, because I have 4 quantities, right? So let's form the table, right? We have speckled, we have rainbow, we have a total, we also have male, female, total. Now, if some of y'all have made a very silly error in the beginning itself, you're just shooting yourself in the foot because you'll not be able to solve this question. The question says, of the 645 speckled trout in a certain fishery that contains only speckled and rainbow trout. For those who put the 645 as the total, you've not understood what the question tells you. The question says, of the 645 speckled total speckled trout has to be 645, not the total trout is 645. If you put 645 as a total trout, you'll be wondering how I get decimals, right? That's not going to be possible at all. So if you made that mistake, you just messed up the question in the beginning itself. Okay, read every question very, very carefully. So of the 645 speckled trout, in a certain fishery that contains only speckled and rainbow trout, the number of males is 45 more than twice the number of females. So this statement, the number of males is 45 more than twice the number of females, applies to the speckled trout, right? So let me keep the number of females to be X. So the number of males is 45 more than twice the number of females. So this is going to be 2x plus 45. So I have this entire section, 2x plus 45 plus x is 645. 5 is equal to 645. So 3x is 600. So x is 200. So I have the values here 200 and 2x plus 45 is going to be 445. So those are the values of that block. So I have broken down the first part of my question. Now the second part of the question says, the ratio of the female speckled trout to the male rainbow trout is 4:3. So this is female speckled, this is male rainbow. So this ratio has to be 4:3. So if this ratio is 4:3, female speckled trout I already know is 200. So 4 parts of a ratio is 200. Basically, this is in the form 4x and 3x. 4x is 200, so x will be 50. 3x has to be 150. So the is 150. And finally, the ratio of the male rainbow trout to all trout is 3:20. This is the male rainbow trout to all trout would be the total year. So that ratio is 3:20. So if I have the ratio is 3:20, this is 3x and 20x. 3x is given to me as 150. Now again, x is 50. So 20x is going to be 20 into 50, which is 1000. So I worked with the ratios. I put in the values. Now I can fill up the other portions of this table. If this is 645 and this is 1000, this would give me 355. If this is 150, this is 355, this will give me 205. So the question asks you, what is the total number of female rainbow trouts, right? So the total number of female rainbow trouts is 205. So 205 compared to 200, the answer here is alpha. Okay with this, guys, all of y'all? On the harder levels of questions, it becomes very, very, very imperative that you read the questions carefully, okay? Because if you put 645 as a total, you're just, spoiling the entire question for you. You're going to waste time on this question. You're not going to get it right, and it's going to hamper your other questions, okay? So make sure the harder levels, level 4 and the level 5s, you read the questions carefully. Okay with this, guys? All of y'all? So that brings us to an end of this webinar, right? On how to represent data in terms of Venn diagrams and terms of tables, right? So I'm going to give you a last 15. We'll wrap up. Last 5 minutes, guys. I can entertain any sort of doubts, whether it's a topic-based doubt or whether it's a doubt in terms of your prep. Okay. So 5 minutes for doubts. Any doubts? Please quickly type it in the chat window. Jayant, my advice to you on that, right? When you take up 2 practice tests and both the tests give you a score approximately the way approximately reaching the score that you're you want to get, that's when I would go ahead and book the slot exactly 10 days or 15 days from that date. Okay. So if 2 tests give you like a 166, 167 on Quant, and you end up getting a verbal score of what you desire, then I would definitely book my test 10 days after that last test. Okay. So that I would determine it based on the practice test that I take. Guys, any other questions? Harshika, in addition to the 5LB book, I would still recommend that you go through the official guide and the 2 official ETS practice books, right? The verbal reasoning and the quant reasoning, in addition to the 5LB, okay? Because at the end of the day, right, the official guide and the verbal reasoning guide and the quant reasoning guide give you retired GRE questions, okay? So those will reflect exactly what you get on the test. So it's better to use that also in addition to the 5LB. 5LB is a very, very good resource. Guys, any other questions? All right. Any other questions, guys? If you want, you can ask me specific questions also, maybe math question which you got stuck at and you want me to quickly give you a 2 to 3 minute explanation. I can do that. Or any prep sort of gyan that you require, I can help you out with that too. Perfect. Okay, so that brings us then to the end of the webinar, right? Just a minute. Yeah, just a couple of other things. Like I said, right, we have our online course. Please go ahead and look at the preview videos because I guarantee you the quantitative comparison section will help you out, right? For those of you all who want to purchase our course, then you can go on online and you can use this coupon code. We're going to give you. We've actually ported our course into a new format, so because of that, we're giving you a 40% off on it. All right. So guys, I'll see you then in 2 weeks' time. Right. So we'll have another webinar, and maybe this time I'm going to choose a concept which is slightly more complicated, right? And that would be in terms of something like inequalities or absolute values. All right. So I'll see you guys then next week. Good night. Take care.